everyone, welcome to the 3P Homestead. My name's Stacy and welcome to my kitchen. So today we're going to talk a little bit about prepping. So I am going to make a recipe that we are going to can. It is going to be a water bath can, and then I will give you guys a tour of my pantries. I do have more than one. I have the one that came with the house, and then we'll talk about the other. It's really 3 other places that I store food. I wouldn't really call them pantries, but we're gonna give you a tour of that today. So let's get started. I'm gonna make a corn relish. So it's gonna be corn and bell peppers and onions, and it will be for things like tacos and I don't know, a little side dish or a salsa of some sort, and it is from the Ball Canning Cookbook. So we'll get started with that. I'm going to cut up some of these vegetables and get them going so that we can get started on our recipe. We are cutting up, we need 4 cups of assorted colored bell peppers. And so I've got those here. I'm hoping that this is 4 cups worth. And then I have 8 cups of corn that it says that I can use frozen corn that's been thawed. So that's what I'm doing because I don't have any fresh corn. So we're gonna do that. We've got onion, vinegar, sugar, some spices over here. So I'm just cutting up all these vegetables, hoping that I have 4 cups worth. And then we will get it all in a pan and get going. My handy dandy veggie scraper, scoop, cutter, whatever you want to call it. I'm definitely not a professional chopper, that's for sure, but I do know that the key to chopping is a very good knife. So if you're going to start prepping and canning and doing a lot of cooking, you definitely need a very good, very sharp knife. This is a Cutco chef knife, or a mini chef knife maybe. You guys probably can't even see my vegetables that I'm cutting up over here. So you have to forgive me because I am new at this video thing. So I'm not sure about placement and all of those good things. So bear with me. I'm going to learn together and hopefully I don't get you motion sickness in the meantime. There are 3 dogs and 5 people in this house, so you will have to forgive me for the dog whining and the occasional bark and the kids going in and out or up and down the stairs. So it's real life, it's what it is, and welcome to my house. Give this a look and see if I've got 4 cups worth. Probably pretty close to 4 cups. I might just cut up this one just to be safe. This one was getting a little soft, so I wasn't going to use it if I didn't have to, but we might need it. Now I'm going to cut up an onion. We need 1 cup of finely chopped onion. Just giving my knife a quick rinse. Get the just went ahead and put that whole half in because it was just barely over a cup. All right, I think that is all the prep I need to do. Let's see, I've got the vinegar, sugar, salt, corn, diced peppers, onion, everything else is seasonings, yeah. All right, so we're gonna start with vinegar, and we're gonna do 4 cups of vinegar. It's just calling for regular white vinegar. And that is a lot of vinegar. And canning is a science, so you have to make sure you're following the recipe so that you are preparing safe food. And now we're going to do the sugar, 1 1/4 cups of sugar. Quarter. All right. And 2 tablespoons. And there are the ducks. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of salt. Now you cannot use iodized salt in canning. So I am using pink Himalayan salt. 2 tablespoons. And we are going to turn that on and get that going. And it needs to cook until the sugar is dissolved. Get that going. I'm using just a nice big sauce pot here. I'll move you back so you can see the pots now. All right. Okay. I'm using a nice big sauce pot, and then I've got my canner over here. This is just a regular water bath canner I got at Walmart. These things dissolved. Now, let me see how long this cooks. Gradually add corn. Okay. So it looks like once everything gets in here and gets hot and gets cooking, it's only going to cook for 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and start the water in the canner because it needs to be as hot as the food in the jars that you're putting into it, so you don't want any broken glass. So everything needs to be kind of the same temperature. I process my canning jars in the dishwasher. I just run them through a regular cycle. It cleans them and then it gets them nice and warm so that when I'm putting this hot food in it, they don't crack. So that is dissolving. My water is pink because of the salt. All right, so our vinegar, sugar, and salt has come to a nice boil, and we are going to slowly add the corn and vegetables carefully without hurting myself. Give that a stir. This is so pretty. Get this going, and then we'll get some seasonings in it, and then we will give it a taste test for it before we put it in our jars. So with water bath canning, what you do is you bring this up to a boil. So today we're going to be using pint jars. The recipe says that it will do 6 pint jars. So we're going to do that, and the water needs to be about an inch above or an inch taller than the jars. So I hope I have enough water in there. I should. I slightly measured it. Water bath canning is a little easier. It's not as, don't feel as much pressure as you do with pressure canning, because it is bring it to a boil, process it for X amount of minutes, and then turn it off. With pressure canning, it's, you know, you gotta get it to boil, and then it has to vent, and then you have to get it to the right pounds of pressure, and then you have to process it at the right pressure for however long, and you can't go below those pounds of pressure. You have to start all over. So it's a little nerve-wracking the first few times you do it, but I would definitely recommend doing it if you're a little insecure. It was not something I was super confident in at first, but once you do it a few times, you do just fine, and you're following a recipe. I mean, as long as you follow step by step, you'll be fine. The first pressure canning that we did some green beans that we had bought at a farmer's market. I've done some broths, and let me see, what else did I do? I don't know, I have to look at my pantry to see which ones are pressure versus water bath. Your fruits and your tomatoes and your corns and peppers, these things can be water bathed, and that's why there's a specific amount of vinegar to sugar ratio that you have to follow. And then the non-acidic foods, vegetables and such, you have to pressure can. And it's all in the cookbooks. So if you get the Ball canning cookbook, it will tell you which ones, of course, you water bath and which ones are for pressure canning. This is looking really good. Smells good. Get it to a boil, and then we'll add our seasonings. So when I bought this this water bath canner, it came with this rack. It was the pot and the rack and the lid. And then on Amazon, I bought like a canning set that comes with the tongs, it measures the head space. You have to leave so much space between the food and the top of the jar. So this is like a measure, and you stir to get all the bubbles out. And then it came with a funnel, a couple of other things that I don't use, some weird tongs. I don't know what those were for, but I don't use those. So water bath is definitely, if you're gonna start with that, it's a little bit cheaper to buy one of these. I think this was $40. But definitely get a pressure cooker if you're planning to do this long term. It is worth the money, and you can even, if you just want to buy one, buy the pressure cooker, because you can use that big pot as a water bath canner. You just put the lid on, you don't pressurize it or anything. So I love having this though as a pot in and of itself, because it's gigantic. It's really good for making big batches of salsa or broth. So definitely recommend, the more pots the better. So, all right, this is getting happy. My kids hate it when I say that. I think I got that like from Emerald. And I'm like, no, it's not ready yet. It needs to sit and get happy. They hate it, absolutely hate it. So of course I do it all the time. That is gonna come to a boil. So the spices we're using today are celery seed, some generic celery seed, some turmeric, can never say that, and ground mustard, and of course there's already salt in there. All right, this has been boiling for a few minutes, so we are going to now add the seasonings. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of dry mustard, wasn't very heaping. There we go. All right, 2 tablespoons of dry mustard, 2 teaspoons of turmeric. That makes it nice. And 2 teaspoons of celery seed. There we go. Give that a stir. Already smelled good before that, so I'm excited to try this. All right. Oh yes, that turmeric is going to make everything just super bright. Okay, looks good. That off. Give it a taste test. And then we'll get our jars. And let that cool for a second while I get the jars. 6 warm pints. I would definitely invest in some cheaper but thick kitchen towels. We bought like a 10-pack of just white towels at Costco because they're gonna get stained and super messy. Just bleach them, and you don't really care. That's good. That's gonna be really good on tacos and even just with some tortilla chips. That's good. All right. Now, my water is hot but not boiling over there, so we'll get this ladled into the jars. Some juice in there. This is definitely going to stain the towels because of that turmeric. That's okay. That's what they're for. Smells so good, y'all. So good. Switcheroo. Let's get hot. So what happens is, we'll see about this recipe, but from what I've noticed, when they say that it'll fit in 6-pint jars, It's not usually the right amount. I usually have some left over, so, but if that's the case, that's good, because then I'll just put it in the fridge and we can have it on maybe one taco night for dinner one night this week. Yeah, I think we're gonna have leftovers. I normally, because I know that the recipes are a little off, I normally go ahead and prep a jar or two over, but I didn't do that this time and I have no idea why. Just wasn't thinking clearly, I guess, so we'll just have some in the fridge. One might be a little full. So once we get these filled, then we'll stir, measure the head space, and adjust if needed. Some are too full. Oh, well, then I say that. I go into all of that about having too much, and now I'm thinking we might not, which is fine. Might be just right. Let's see. This is a nice fall recipe, fall colors anyway, even though it's not quite fall. Here's hoping that it comes soon. We had a big storm today, power outage, so that's always fun. Well, I was wrong, and the cookbook this time was right. It's just the right amount. So, I take a little bit. So I'm going to stir it up. Make sure there's no bubbles, and that it's the right amount of headspace. This one needs more juice. All right. So measure. Yeah, we're good. We're good. I'm just going to take a spoon. I was gonna steal from that one, but it looks to be okay. I'm gonna just take this last little bit, put it in this one that was a little short. All right, give it a stir again. Make sure there's no, not really a stir. What you're doing is kind of poking it. Make sure that there are no bubbles. And then the next step is you take some white vinegar. I just do this little thing. Take some white vinegar and you just go around, careful because these jars are hot, stuff is boiling, and you just go around the rims, cleaning it off with some vinegar. Make sure that it has a nice seal. There's seasonings up top and splashes. And also, as you're doing that, you're making sure there's no chips in the glass. See, got seasoning, I don't know if you can see. Seasonings and goop, because it does splash. Get that. All cleaned off, no chips, all clean. And then we will put our lids on it. These are new lids that I had soaking in some, it was hot, now it's just warm water. And I use, when it's the first go round of the jars, I use the jars and lids that come with it, of course. But then when you go to redo it, I use 4 jars lids. Ooh, it's hot. 4 FOR jars, and those are proving really good. So what you want to do is put a ring on it and tighten it just finger tight, tight enough to keep it from rattling off in the boil, but not too tight to where you would need like one of those rubber things to take it off. These are hot. It's hot. That's why we use these handy dandy jar lifters. All right, so these are in. All have rings. Whoo, those are getting hot. All right, and our water is hot. And now, just put these little guys in here. So it comes with this rack, and keep it from boiling on the bottom or it might crack. So let me just put these in, space them out so they're not touching, balanced. This is so pretty. Can't wait to have it on my tacos. All right, they're in. Lower them. Good. There's about an inch of water that covers the jars. So then we'll get that boiling, and it needs to boil for 15 minutes. So we'll get that going. When it starts really getting going on the boil, we'll set that timer for 15 minutes, and then we'll be back. All right, y'all, this is now boiling quite well. So we're gonna turn the timer on for 15 minutes, let that process. And while that's processing, let's go on a pantry tour. So this is the pantry that came with the house, of course. Just a super small pantry for a family of 5. So we've got our cereal. I have organized it. We've got some oils and syrups and salad toppings. We've got the dog treats and the dog food. Then we've got our sweets, crackers, chips, snacks, water bottle. Okay, and some juices. Now, off of the kitchen is this little office that they put in. That this is what we've converted into our pantry office. This is where my bulk food is, all of my canning supplies. I'm going to have to figure out something else to do with my veggies here because it is just not cool enough in here for those, and the potatoes and onions don't last very long. So we added these shelves, and that's the desk that came with the office. And then of course these drawers are just gonna have to stay here, and this little section will remain our office. So what my goal is to do a barn door on the outside here, making that cute instead of this ugly curtain. So we're gonna do a barn door here that won't really ever open, so it doesn't matter that that stuff's on the wall. And then we're gonna enclose this and put a door here. So my question for y'all is, should I do just another 6-panel door like this one, or should I do one of those cute pantry frosted doors that have the little pantry etched on it? So comment down below so that I know what your vote is. I'm thinking probably just a panel door, but we'll see, because it's kind of in the living room at this point and in the hall. That's the hall to our bedroom. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, but let me know what y'all think. So then we're gonna go in here. So that was, we call it the PO, the pantry office. This is our entryway. in my dining room. Forgive the boxes, it's a mess. Working on a couple different projects. Got a planter box that we built, so that video is coming soon. And then these are all my kiddos, baby pictures and senior pictures. And then in here is our laundry room. So in here is where I have stored the store-bought extras. Barbecue sauces, extra cans. We've got ketchup, honey, maple syrup. We'll go into my goal for my 1-year food storage, but this is the store-bought extras. And my brooms and mops, of course, because laundry room in real life. Now in here is our Understair Storage, and this is where my new shelf lives, which is where I'm going to put all of my canned food items on. I'm going to put them all on. So that's a work in progress. I have a video coming out on that installation because that is custom built by my dad. So I'm very excited about that. So those are the places that we store food. So I will let those canned items, or the canned corn relish that we're working on right now, do its thing for the 15 minutes, and then I'll be back with you. All right, the 15 minutes are up. This has been boiling for a good solid 15 minutes. I'm going to use a different mitt. Take the lid off. Whew, get a facial. All right, we're going to let that kind of stop boiling and cool down just a little bit. We're going to put the timer on for 5 minutes, and then we're going to take them out. All right, y'all. Through the magic of technology, it's been 5 minutes, and we are going to take these jars out of the counter. Carefully. They're super hot. Very nice. These look so good. Everything stayed upright. Nothing opened or cracked or anything like that, so we're good. So then what we'll do is let these sit on the counter on a towel. I actually have a towel on my cutting board. You don't have to do that. I sometimes just use a towel, but since I'm using this side, that's where my cutting board lives. And we'll let these sit overnight. Tomorrow afternoon, I will, about 24 hours is best, I will take the rings off, make sure they've all sealed. You don't store your jars with the rings on. You can get false seals that way. So we take the rings off, wipe them down, label them, and put them in the pantry, and they are shelf stable. So I'm super excited. It was a small batch, and I wanted to taste it first and make sure I liked it. And next time I will definitely double it because it is very, very tasty. So thank you so much for hanging out with me in my kitchen today, doing a little prep work, going on the pantry tour with me. I hope you consider subscribing. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time. Have a great afternoon.